Welcome back. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull. I do some contract work for the HBAR Foundation, but I don't do these weekly updates in any official capacity. I'm just coming to you personally to give you the latest in the Hedera ecosystem. Now, Zeb is feeling a little bit under the weather this week, so I'm going to be doing this one solo, but as always, none of this is financial advice. Use it for entertainment or educational purposes only. So the first thing I want to touch on is many of you may know that not only do I bring you news and events, but I'm also a builder in the space with my partner Jesse. We've created an application called Twigital, and what we're trying to do is empower people that work in the physical realm. So collectors and manufacturers and craftspeople and artisans and sculptors. We want to empower them in the same way that the first iteration of NFTs empowered digital artists. We want to give them a new medium and file type to be able to show off everything that they create. And we're getting really close to launching. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to launch, but go follow at Twigital app on X for the latest, because we're going to be launching here before too long. And the next thing I want to get into is micropayments. And besides Twigital, I would say it's the one thing that I'm most excited about in the DLT space. We've always, thought about all the different things that we could do with micropayments with these highly efficient DLTs like Hedera. Internet of Things certainly pops to mind, but I think the number one thing that people think of is items of low value on the internet. And I'm not saying they don't have value to the consumer. I'm saying that they would command a low price on the internet. So short videos or articles, individual articles. And going way back, so this is OG of OG for the Hedera space, the daily timestamp. Hedera did this proof of concept, and this was even before open access, but they did this proof of concept where they set up this blog and you could pay HBAR to read the individual articles. And then they would pay you a little bit of extra HBAR to do that, to test out this proof of concept. And now we have Dropp that's actually bringing this concept to market. So we're really excited about it. I caught up with Sushil to give us the details, so listen in. Sushil, we knew you had a WordPress plugin enabling micropayments for gratuity, and of course, tips are going to be a huge use case for micropayments, but now you're reaching for the holy grail of micropayments with WordPress. Do you mind explaining?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yes, and you're right. We have the microtipping WordPress plugin, which we launched, I would say, 6 months back, just to try it out. But what we're doing right now is exactly what the mission was, or exactly what micropayment is meant for. Our vision was the ability for someone to browse the net. You're browsing the internet, you saw a piece of content, you don't want to sign up, you just want to buy that piece of content, pay the merchant, pay the publisher, and that's it. That should be the end of the transaction, right? And when we built the micropayment platform, we had the SDK, we had all these other services. But now what we've done is we built a WordPress plugin to make it really easy for a publisher to download that plugin and make that possible. Most of the friction, there's a lot of friction point as a publisher. When you publish, or whether you're a streamer, when you're publishing a lot of content, the friction is subscription, the first. And I've talked about it plenty of times where you need to subscribe and people are tired of subscription, right? The second is the sign up. Like you need to sign up, you need to give your name, all of that information just for one article, if there was a possibility of one article. And the third issue is the cost of a transaction is very high when you are selling a content for, like, let's say $1 or $2. The credit card fees is a lot. Dropp, the micropayment platform, has already solved the last one, which is we made it a cost-effective platform. With this WordPress plugin, we're trying to solve the first two issues, which is reduction of that friction, the initial sign-up friction. So with this WordPress plugin, you're browsing, you see someone's content, you can just click on that little blue drop and that content becomes yours. What we've also done with that is we made sure that that content is only restricted to you. Because you bought it, you can access it and no one else. As a publisher, I would want that. I don't want you to buy my content because you never signed up with me. I don't want you to buy my content and share it with someone else, right? So we're really happy about it. This is exactly what our vision was. This is exactly what we wanted to do. And we've just made it really, really easy for a publisher to just download. No code. You don't have to write any piece of code. We have videos on our website. You can look at it where the sign up process for a merchant now is really, really simple, right? You can even try out without signing up with us. So we have this demo version now where we give you a sign up key so you can just sign up, try it out. If you like it, then you need to sign up with us and we have to do a very quick KYC with you. We need to know who you are as a publisher. But there's another friction point where people were facing is how I need to go through all the KYC. We kind of like short circuited all that and we made it really easy for you to try out the product. So I'm very excited. This was the work that's been going on for like 6 months. We got approved by WordPress a month back. And then what we decided is to build all the documentation, the video, the content to make it really easy for someone to start using this plugin. We really encourage everyone to use it. All you have to do is, if you're a WordPress user, you can go out there, enable the plugin, try it out. We're looking for feedback. But this is a one of a kind. I mean, I really mean this is a very one of a kind where you can monetize your content or your streaming video or your music, anything that's on WordPress on a pay-per-use basis, right? So thanks, Brandon. Yeah, this is exactly what we wanted to do. Yeah.
Well, we knew, like, from the time we were testing it on the daily timestamp, we knew it was possible, but it's exciting that this is now actually coming to market. From a user experience standpoint, I think it's exciting because, you know, the subscriptions are always frustrating and then you get hit with that fee every single month. But also, I'm looking forward to becoming the customer again, you know, with the ad-based models that are out there. I'm sick of being the product. I want to be the customer again.
Yeah, absolutely. And you become the customer again in this case. And something that we've added is for merchants and for the consumer is, you know, we do not share any details with the merchant. It's a privacy-based system. So we, as a consumer, you click on that little drop, that you buy that article, it becomes yours, right? We don't share any your credentials with the merchant. But we've also given the merchant the ability to make you an offer. They could actually send you a coupon saying, hey, the next article is on me. So it's not that the merchants are not going to have a relationship with the consumer, because one-off doesn't sound very attractive to a lot of merchants. With subscription, you have a relationship with the consumer because you know they're going to come the next month. Here, what we have done is we've given them the ability to reach out to you through the Dropp app, and they can make an offer. They can make so the experience. We think this is sort of the next generation experience where no digital ads, no subscription, right? Just you buy just the way, and I always use this example repeatedly, is you walk into a convenience store, you buy that can of soda, you walk away. You never signed up, you didn't subscribe, none of that, right? Why can't we do that on the internet? Well, that's something that we've been saying for the last 18 months. We just proved it. We just made it happen on WordPress. So yes, the experience for the consumer should be, I think, is a desirable experience. I think people are looking for this.
Well, I'm certainly excited about it, but I want to shift gears here just a little bit. So Dropp was at Hello Future Live. You were also on a Genfinity X Space earlier this week, and you've been so gracious with your time coming on my show. Why do you work so hard staying engaged with the Hedera community?
Sure. Just, you know, we've been with the Hedera community, with the Hedera organization, and with all of them for since 2017. So there is loyalty, there is affinity towards the community. We want this to be the Hedera technology to be very successful. We would not be able to build Dropp without Hedera. So there is definitely that relationship. But we also have multiple products, right? We have Wallet Connect. So we just recently launched Wallet Connect, which is the ability for a Dropp customer to attach the wallet to any website which has Wallet Connect, any Hedera wallet, which has Wallet Connect on it. We also have NFTs on it. So you can actually purchase NFTs on an NFT marketplace. And the entire platform itself is built on Hedera. So there is a lot in my interest, in Dropp's interest, right, to be engaged in the community. And we are also building all of these products that in the ecosystem of Hedera could be extremely useful. That we have lots of NFT marketplaces. Twin Digital has a product coming out. All of these products can be bought and sold on the Dropp platform. We also have another product called Dragonglass, which is an explorer. And most recently, we launched the NFT Explorer, right? Which we have indexed every NFT on the Hedera network, every NFT with the images and all of that. So we have all of that database completely in real-time index, right? And I think that would be a great service to the community. So we continue to build all of these products which would help the community, and we definitely want to be involved with the community. So that's why I invest the time. Yeah.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. So before we let you go, Sushil, is there anything else you'd like to pass on?
I was just talking about the NFT Explorer, which we haven't really officially launched, but let's call this an official launch of this Explorer, where we've indexed all the NFTs. One of the things that we want to do, and we haven't done that yet, is we want to reach out to any NFT minter, creator of NFT marketplaces. If they want, if you own an NFT, yes, you too, Twin Digital. If you have a product Twin Digital and you wanted it listed we are not a marketplace, we're just an explorer. But if you want your NFT listed, so when I'm browsing NFT Explorer and I come across NFT, we have the NFT ID as the name, the Hedera ID and all of that. If you want it labeled with your name on it so that I can reach out to you and buy it, or if I can reach out to the NFT marketplace and buy it, we are planning on doing that. So we're going to reach out, but if any one of your planning to listing it, you can list it with us. This is just helping. This is purely to help the ecosystem. So you see it in Explorer, you know where to buy it, or if you want to reach out to someone, you can reach out to the Explorer. That's something that we are planning on building on the Dragonglass side. Now our focus is going to slightly change. We have been mostly B2C, business to consumer. What we have seen in the market is there is a need for payments in the B2B space, right? Business to business, small business to small business. And I'm not talking about bill pay. This is like a small business making a delivery to another small business and doesn't want to write a check. They want the payment right away. So our focus is going to be B2B. Again, all built on Hedera, all built on instant rails, but that's what our focus is going to be. So,
well, we're looking forward to it. As always, thanks for stopping by, Sushil.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Brandon.
So I couldn't be more excited about what Dropp is doing with micropayments. And if you do have a blog or you're doing anything on WordPress, make sure you try out that plugin because I think it's going to be invaluable for everybody that's creating on that platform. So you also heard Sushil mention Wallet Connect, and we had an interview with him how Dropp is integrating Wallet Connect just a couple weeks ago. And hgraph.io put out a tweet about this past week. They said hgraph is leading a joint initiative with key wallet providers to create a unified Wallet Connect solution for the Hedera ecosystem. This streamlined library SDK will simplify processes for dApps and pave the way for accelerated mass adoption. Now, Hashpack spearheaded this Wallet Connect technology in the Hedera ecosystem with Hash Connect, but this is going to be a more universal solution. We've heard Blade Wallet talk about it. Now we've had Dropp talk about it. hgraph.io is backed up by Patches. He is a superstar in the space, and Hashpack is going to use this standardized solution in the future as well. But it's good to see everybody coming together with these standardized solutions. Now we're going to shift gears here a little bit into real-world asset tokenization. It's really hot right now. We already knew that Aberdeen is starting to tokenize their funds. They started with a money market fund. It's worth over $15 billion, and they're doing that in collaboration with Archax. And real-world asset tokenization is certainly a buzz, so it's not a surprise that CoinDesk picked up that Archax is planning on launching their regulated exchange before the end of the year, and this was highlighted by Hedera in a tweet as well. And with teams like Digital Commodities Exchange, we have Red Swan, Toko, Aberdeen, and of course Archax here. We're certainly leading on the front foot when it comes to real-world asset tokenization. It seems like that's really starting to catch fire at this point. And without further delay, we have a great Shark Bite segment. We had some great questions from the audience this week. And of course, Rob did not disappoint, so listen in. Welcome back, Rob. How was your week?
Hey, Brandon. Yes, had a pretty busy week. Fantastic Foundry live stream yesterday. And yeah, looking forward to this Halloween week. I've got one of my favorite NFT projects on display for that very purpose.
There you go. I caught that Foundry thing. I watched it live as you guys were doing it, and we're going to have some highlights later on in the show. Awesome. So well done to both you and Shane. The first question we have comes from James H., who said, could Rob flesh out what he was saying about how a bad actor could technically front-run a transaction, but that it could be next to impossible on Hedera? It sounds like he said it might be possible, but not practical. More clarity on this would be good for people's absolute confidence. So what are your thoughts, Rob?
Yeah, so what we talked about was maximum miner extractable value. So this is the ability for a node operator or a bad actor on a blockchain to determine the order in which transactions are injected into the block, because it gets to see those transactions, so it can determine how it might play the transaction and front run for its own benefit. So because we don't have chains of blocks, we have the hash graph, because our validator networks operate super fast. There is a kind of a very small technical chance that a malicious node might seek to do the same thing. So receive a transaction and then determine how best to benefit from the ordering of that transaction. Of course, that wouldn't happen at the moment because we've got permissioned nodes. So the governing council, you wouldn't expect the governing council to behave like that ever. Even community nodes in the first tranche and second and third tranche are going to be kind of permissioned. So, they're going to be vetted and operate in a way that is trusted. But in the fullness of time, with full decentralization and full kind of open node activity on the Hedera network, there's a technical chance that a malicious node might seek to do that, right? Might seek to get a benefit from its set of transactions. However, because of the speed of the network, and because a platform, a solution, a DApp that is running a use case that potentially could be affected by front running, let's say it's some kind of trading platform, it would mitigate that risk by maybe submitting transactions to two different nodes or rotating the nodes at which it's sending its transactions. And because the pace of the network, the throughput rate, one would expect that the node receiving the transaction that was non-malicious would actually submit it sooner than the one that had to process it and determine how best to kind of inject its own transaction ahead of it. So it would be slower, and therefore the transaction that the malicious node would submit to the network would not actually achieve consensus. It would be the one going via the non-malicious node. So that's why we believe that it is almost impossible for front running to happen on Hedera.
And certainly much more fair than what we see with blockchain, right?
Well, exactly. I mean, it's different architecture, and the fact that we have the event-based kind of ordering, fair ordering at super scale, means that the slow rhythmic addition of blocks and the validator's ability to determine which transactions go in which block is almost impossible, if not absolutely impossible to achieve.
Fair enough, and pun is certainly intended there. So the next one is from J.HBAR, who said, Mance has said that insurance is a gap in the governing council. Working in insurance, I'm interested in what use cases are being discussed, if any. So what are your thoughts on insurance, Rob? I know that you're focused completely on enterprise, and there's some huge enterprises out there in the insurance industry. So what are your thoughts?
I love this question. When I was at PwC running the fintech practice here in Australia, we had a lot of insurtech type use cases. And insurtech hasn't really become a thing. There are applications of new technology in the insurance space, but it's largely kind of still behind the curve. I actually think that distributed ledger technology is a perfect platform on which to build next generation insurance applications. And why is that? Well, we have a value chain in the insurance space which gives itself to data integrity, ultimately to tokenization. So you've got things like pricing and underwriting. So the value chain is in insurance is pricing and underwriting, where products are created. You've got sales and distribution, so quotes to individuals for particular types of insurance that they're seeking. You've got product management, so things like reinsurance and deriving alternate products from the insurance products that have been sold. And you've got claims handling, so someone submits a claim and then it's got to be validated and checked and ultimately paid or not. So in that value chain, we've got lots and lots of use cases and lots of inefficiency. The insurance business tends to be pricing tends to be probabilistic, which means that there's quite a large risk margin that needs to be added, the premium for risk, because they've got to cover themselves in terms of the variety of outcomes. But with trusted digital ledger technology based data and data integrity and provenance, you can become a lot more deterministic, which means that your pricing structures and your risk modeling can be a lot tighter. You've got oracles, you've got weather oracles, you've got news oracles, you've got all sorts of ways of gathering that data, which is not 5 years worth of forecast or based on the previous 5 years, and has to add a margin. So that's the first thing. I think there's a great set of use cases around data integrity and oracles to get to deterministic pricing on these products. The insurance industry is really cutthroat, right? So margins are super tight, and that kind of competition, that competitive advantage that those sorts of applications of DLT, obviously at scale, super cheap, like Hedera is, can actually make the difference and enables innovative new products to be brought to market. In terms of sales and distribution, identity, as always, is kind of at the heart of this. So being able to issue credentials to customers, for customers to have credentials so that they can submit requests for quote to multiple agencies without having to repeat the forms all the time. And then the removal of friction within that process as well, through that kind of seamless interaction between insurance provider and customer. That's a really good use case as well. So with digital identity in place. Then product management. Let me go to claims processing first. So claims processing enables you to submit a claim, and then the insurance company has to check and validate it. And then there's a payment or a no type response. All of those things are data points which should actually could be written to HCS, so the process flow can be tracked. It can be audited and can be independently verified if necessary. Identity again is key, because you submit your identity. You don't have to do background checks. You don't have to check that the owner of that policy is not a dog on the internet, for example. And stablecoins, the ability to have a smart contract that actually then receives the data, maybe the Oracle-based data, the verification of identity, and then uses stablecoins to make a payment. There's no humans in that flow, right? So it becomes a lot more efficient. And as I said, with very, very competitive environment, you can reduce your operating costs significantly through using these sorts of processes. And then finally, like I said, product management in the insurance industry is key. You don't necessarily just sell insurance to retail customers or to commercial customers. You can then package those liabilities, those obligations, and resell it. So the reinsurance market is massive, absolutely massive. So I think that's a really good use case for tokenization. So you can you securitize effectively those products, and you onward sell them, or you kind of hedge your risk by reinsuring them. That's an entirely different marketplace, and I think it's ripe for tokenization. So there's a lot to unpack there. I just kind of skimmed the surface, and maybe we'll do a special deep dive on the insurance industry. Mats is right. I don't think it has been targeted particularly at the moment, but that's a rich area to explore, I think. And if any of the HBARbarians out there work for insurance industries, like I believe Jay does, the questioner, let's get on the call. Let's work it out.
Insurance is something Even at Twigital, we've thought about insurance. We think it's the best way to capture physical objects for use throughout Web3. But you already, if you're going to insure something, they might ask you to take a bunch of pictures of it in your house and send all that off. You can do that all in one package. So you can have the top asset be that 3D asset that's created by Twigital, and then you could have additional files of authenticity and things like that. And then you also talked about digital identifiers. So you could have an authenticator or an appraiser sign that. They may say, okay, well, submit the Twigital to me. I'll take a look at it. They take a look at it and say, okay, well, I need you to resubmit that, create another Twigital, but I want you to take some pictures of these specific parts of it. It might be $1 million sculpture or a piece of sports memorabilia, and they want some additional authentication around. Take pictures in addition to that of this specific part, and then they can digitally sign it and say it was in this condition at this time. It can be insured for X amount of money. So yeah, we're thinking along the same lines.
Yeah, and of course, HCS is the perfect way of timestamping a thing, right? Whether it be a data packet, a picture, or anything else. So you could use the HCS to timestamp the thing that you have insured and the event that has occurred to it. Maybe it's a police report if there's an accident. On numerous occasions, had to claim against my underwater camera equipment after some close encounter with tiger sharks and other big toothy animals, and to have been able to bring all of that evidence together and timestamp it and then just submit it to a smart contract would have been a very seamless experience, other than trying to convince insurance underwriters that swimming with sharks is a good thing to do.
Well, it's certainly a good question. All right, so we'll move on to the next one. This one comes from Diamanthotter 9769, and I'm sorry if I butchered that one, but they said, as an early HBAR enthusiast, my primary career aspiration is to find opportunities in the realm of Hashgraph, Web3, and CO2 offset initiatives. I've recently embarked on a data science, environmental science bachelor program in Zurich. I'm curious about how to go about finding a job in the Web3 space. In your journey, what strategies or networking opportunities have proven most effective in establishing a presence in the world of Hashgraph? Furthermore, I'd like to know if the Hashgraph Association offers internships. I live nearby and believe this could be an excellent opportunity to gain practical experience in the Hashgraph ecosystem. So, Rob, do you have any time for some potential future career advice here today?
Career advice to Diamond Halter. Yes, I mean I'm old, so I've had a very long career, and my Web3 journey has been pretty well kind of talked about. My Hedera journey. I think, as with all kind of new careers, and it sounds like the question is right at the beginning of theirs: enthusiasm, throwing yourself in, soaking up the environment, being part of the ecosystem. I can point to more than a handful, a large number of HBARbarians that started as enthusiasts. Well, yourself and me included, Brandon, right? We were just kind of enthusiastic bystanders, just watching things evolve, and then started trying our own things. And I had the opportunities through my enterprise delivery work to run proofs of concept and to build startups. And you've built a startup, Brandon, and have been commentating on this subject for years now. You've got to find your slot, right? So you've got to find the thing that you enjoy doing and then do it with passion. Life's too short not to do everything with passion. There are communities online and locally of people that are both working in Web3. Go to meetups, talk, soak up the ideas, find out what other people are doing, and then find your own path through that. Internships are a really good way of doing that, but also just voluntary support. Go to hackathons. You don't need to be a hardcore coder to participate in hackathons. In fact, the creatives, the business heads are as important to the shaping of a product as the pure play techies. So just immerse yourself in the environment and then see what really resonates for you. Specifically on the THA internship, we do have interns, absolutely. So if you contact me on Twitter, probably is the best way, send me a DM and I'll put you in touch with our head of HR. I don't know whether we're taking on interns at the moment, but we do have interns, and we'll continue that conversation offline. But thanks for asking.
I agree, Rob, exactly what you said. I think passion is the most important thing in the space, and we've seen so many people, even more important than experience, and we've seen plenty of people that have had passion that are already well on their way to building within the space and have careers in the space. So certainly it sounds like our student here has that passion. All right, so the last one we have is from Eric, and he said, in a recent Thinking Crypto podcast, Dr. Lehman Baird also mentioned that he expects the number of people staking on the network to grow. This despite the recent decline in interest yields. This may sound less logical to many people as higher interest returns may be available in other places. Or the value of HBAR itself should increase significantly in the future, which makes a lower interest rate itself less important. Can Rob imagine that Lehman made his comment with this in mind?
I actually don't. I think that Lehman was just talking about scale. I think he, and I as well, believe that this will grow, and it will grow exponentially with utility, with more projects delivering, and it will become exponential. I don't think it's related to the draw of yields on native staking. I think that's just that's the icing on the cake, to be honest, of holding and staking one's HBAR. So I think it's as simple as that. I think Lehman just believes, as we all do in the project, that more and more users and holders will be attracted to the Hedera network, and with that, everything then grows. The utility, the sentiment, the revenue, and in the end, everyone will be using Hedera.
I think you're exactly right. I think Lehman's just thinking about the distribution. There's going to be more wallets with HBAR in them that are willing to stake, and that's what he was talking about. I will put on my investor hat here for a second and say that he's exactly right with his statement that HBAR is more like a high growth stock rather than anything else that's out there in the market. And you'll never find a high growth stock that pays a dividend. So any yield that we do get is just going to be icing on the cake. We see HBAR, these are just facts. This isn't investment advice. It goes from 1 cent up to 57 cents, down to 3.8 cents, up to 10 cents, back down to 5 cents. It's just very volatile, and there's opportunity for principal appreciation. So again, it's just, icing on the cake if we do get anything out of that. And you look at yields of, we'll say, the S&P 500 right now. I think it's 1.2 or 1.3%. So us getting a staking yield of 1.4% is not bad. Certainly not investment advice, like I said. And I actually think that's going to come down over time because more people are going to stake their HBAR, and they have that 6.5 billion HBAR limit. So it's just going to drop from there. But either way, like I said, it's only icing on the cake. And I think you were right with Lehman thinking that it's just about HBAR distribution. And that's what was in his mind. But Rob, that's pretty much all we have for this week. I appreciate everybody asking the questions, but thanks again.
My pleasure, Brandon. See you next week.
Again, keep those questions coming in, and Rob is chomping at the bit to stay engaged. But moving on, Nilmani is again doing a great job representing Hedera, this time at the State of Crypto Policy and Regulation Conference that was put on by CoinDesk. Hedera was a platinum sponsor, so we're absolutely staying engaged. And I also caught, and it was kind of hard to miss, that Brett, the chairman of the Hedera Governing Council, was right there in the middle. I didn't realize he was such a big guy, but we have a good crew representing Hedera at this conference. And we also had great representation at the Africa Money and DeFi Summit, focusing on banking the bankless. We had a few great teams that are building on Hedera that I'm sure represented the network really well. We had Flutterwave. We've talked about them a lot. They are the largest fintech in Africa that's focused on digital payments and cross-border remittances. We have MTech, who's providing tools to central banks, right now focused in the Caribbean and in Africa with smaller central banks. But as I've mentioned before, I'm sure it's going to be a good proof of concept for larger economies as well. And finally, we have WePay, which is focusing on payments in the Caribbean. And with teams like these building, I think these smaller economies may be able to realize the full potential of DLT technology before a lot of the larger economies out there. All right, so back in June, I talked to Donald with Tuum Tech, and he was talking about things that they were going to do with Metamask snaps, and he's working on some things that is going to bring a completely new tool set to the Hedera ecosystem. He had a great update for us, so check it out. Donald, before we dive into the latest from Tuum Tech, can you just recap what a snap is?
Yeah, so snaps are developed by Metamask, and this is a new development that was just released to production last month. And it is one of the biggest releases in a long time. It's been in development for several years, actually. And what it does is it allows any community team to go and extend the functionality of Metamask. So you can add unique services that haven't been available before. And some of those examples would be like native connectivity with Near or Algorand or Solana, or Bitcoin was a really big one. Now you can actually use Bitcoin natively through Metamask. So we actually built one with Hedera, and that's one that we've talked about previously, the Identify Snap, and it was one of the first 30 snaps to go into production. So that's available today. You can go to snaps.metamask.io and you can check out all the snaps that are currently available.
So the development of this product has been a few years in the making, and they just launched their beta last month. How did that process go?
The beta, it's, like I said, something that's been in production for a while. Metamask is very focused on security, and they want to make sure this sandbox environment's safe. So they're going through a new model where it's permissionless, that, like I mentioned, any team can go and build a snap. It's not completely permissionless yet because they do require an audit. They do have a vetting system, so there were only about 30 that were released at first. But the process went really well. It was around September 12th, I think, was the official date that they launched. There's been a lot of marketing around that ever since. They're trying to really promote and go into these other ecosystems and get some activity, because it's pretty unique that you can use the benefits of the sandbox environment of MetaMask and do some new things with it that you were never able to do in the past.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So can you tell us about the Hedera native wallet snap?
The Hedera native snap is something that we haven't talked about previously, and I think that this is very exciting for the Hedera community. What we've done is we've worked together with HBAR Foundation. We're communicating with Swirlds Labs. We're talking with the Consensus team, the Metamask team, and we're trying to bring Hedera's own native functionality to Metamask. So this is something that we started within the past 2 months, and it's in development. So what we've done is we've created a Metamask snap for Hedera. So you no longer have to go through the other EVM capabilities that you had to do previously, and you can use your actual Hedera ID. And this is something that we are going to be sending to audit next month, and hopefully will be available really soon.
Perfect. And what is the companion website application I heard about?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, go to the snaps.metamask.io and you can see how other projects have done this. I would suggest looking at the Bitcoin Zion snap. And what you do is you can click on a website that is connected to that snap, and it has the functionality for retail users so that you can go through the process of creating your account, use it like any other wallet. You can see your transactions, send, receive. It gives you the usage of the snap right away from the web, because snaps are currently available only on the web. So as the UI improves, they're going to have new pages and new access through the actual mobile app. But for now, you can go to this website that we're developing in collaboration with what we're building on the snap, and then you can access all the things that you're used to on other wallets that are familiar in the Hedera ecosystem, but do it through MetaMask.
It really sounds like this is going to be a critical service, and having Hedera involved is going to be really important. To shift gears here a little bit, you were also at the permissionless event. Mm-hmm. How was that? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, permissionless event, that took place during the release of the snaps. So it was a really exciting experience. I went down there personally. I went to the MetaMask booth. There was a few of us that developed snaps that did interviews right there. We talked about the Identify snap that we've previously developed. and we talked about the relationship of bringing the Hedera ecosystem into the Metamask ecosystem. During that event, I was able to meet with the HBAR Foundation, meet with the Metamask Snaps teams. We brought everybody together, had some discussions about the ongoing and future development of the native wallet Snap, and then trying to understand what all can we do to leverage this new extensibility of MetaMask to the Hedera ecosystem. And we had really good discussions, and it's led to the development that we're doing now. And I really think that's going to lead to many more future developments and getting other developers in the ecosystem interested in doing this as well, because it's not just Tuum Technologies that can do this. Any team can jump in and do it. And really, you could reach out to us and we'll help get you started.
That's fantastic. So in general, what's next for Tuum Tech?
We've been doing a lot. We had this discussion not too long ago, so we've already developed the Identify Snap. We're working on the native Snap for the Hedera wallet. In addition to that, our team's participating in the Hedera Angel Hack Accelerator right now. We're developing a marketplace for data exchange that uses the Identify Snap that we've already developed. And we're also going to be working on another snap that extends the functionality of the Identify Snap so they can connect to other snaps, and we can use other decentralized identity capabilities that weren't already available. So we're really building on what we've been doing, and we're trying to extend this to real world use cases, consumer products, and building on top of the infrastructure that we've already developed. So this is what we're doing now, and this is going to lead us through into 2024, and we have a pretty good roadmap ahead.
Well, we appreciate all the hard work. Donald, thank you so much for swinging by and telling us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me anytime.
Now we're going to get into Hedera social media and consumer engagement. It looks like Calaxy put on a heck of a party out there in Las Vegas for TwitchCon. One thing that's great about Calaxy is they have the resources to go out and independently do these kind of things and represent the Hedera network. And you don't get bigger HBAR barons than those guys. They are fully committed to the Hedera ecosystem because they know that's what's best for their product. And we also have some huge news coming out of Karate Combat. We have Ben Henderson and Anthony Pettis. Now, these are two former UFC lightweight champions that have had some great battles in the past that are going to finish off their trilogy with Karate Combat, and that's in December. So the talent that Karate Combat is attracting is really impressive. And they're going to be fighting on the card in December. But the next Karate Combat event, Karate Combat 42, is in just over a week. And I'm going to get Dane back on to give us a full rundown on Karate Combat 42, on all the different fights for those that are going to be participating in Up-Only Gaming. Now, the next thing that I wanted to touch on is the HBAR Foundry. Now, it's a group of builders in the space, enthusiasts that help each other in what they're trying to achieve. And they do a great job. They have meetings, I know, every Monday, and they're starting to do these town halls. The last one they did was with Shane from the HBAR Foundation and Rob, of course, who we always have on here from the Hashgraph Association. But they asked one question about what we can look forward to going into 2024. And I thought it was worth highlighting, so check it out.
Our goals are going to remain the same, right? Grow the awareness, accelerate access, and increase commerce. And those are going to be, and we've got certainly more detailed initiatives to support those goals. But those are the things that we're going to do. So I would say an even better question will be, what are the key growth drivers that we see for 2024? The first is focus on network sustainability. We are hyper-focused on revenue and making sure that we have positive grant ROI. We're executing on all of the playbooks, on-chain finance, sustainability, consumer loyalty, and brand engagement. We're seeing a significant growth in that part of our business from gaming and sports, and you'll see more coming from us. Key deals that are going to drive that growth. You saw Hyundai make a big announcement. Sustainability. So we've done, you're going to see more around COP28 as Rob talked about from the Varen Gold Standard. You're going to see some other large partnerships that we would do in sports and others. Dropp is another one, right? They had the Fed now. They've recently continued to grow their access and getting support for their product, their micropayments product. We think that has a huge opportunity, and Tashiel and team are really figuring out product market fit. Stablecoin Studio is an area of key growth that we believe is going to drive growth. And then council recruitment. So I will mention council recruitment. We are hiring a dedicated head for council recruitment. For those of you that follow me on Twitter, I engaged with someone that was suggesting this, and I said, we do have an open job description, largely because right now to recruit to the council, to be on the council, it's a lot more than lending us your brand. We want you to build. And so, when the council, and I don't have a say in it, I'm just recruiting, my team are recruiting. We then put it to the membership committee, MEMCOM. They then determine who then goes to the whole of the council to then be voted on for council membership. And, the requirements have increased. We want you to build. We want you to have a clear idea as to how you would engage with the network. And we want you to be engaged. And then finally, the other key area of growth driver, access to Wall Street. Up until now, we have not had a concerted effort of getting focused on the institutional investor. And we do, our vision is bringing things, on chain, and because we can change lives, right? Whether it's, supply chain and transformation there, whether it's, your latest NFT project built into and with your latest brand. There are ways that many organizations are changing lives, and they're going to do it through and by running on Hedera. So lastly, I'll talk about 2024. We are looking at, as we think about projections, we know what the percentage of network traffic and network services are today. We believe that in 2024, we'll double the amount of revenue. And as importantly, I think, as what we talked about when we think about the breakdown of services revenue, if you recall, in 2023, this year, 83% of the network revenue has been generated by HCS transactions. We believe that in 2024, and this isn't doing funky math, it's effectively taking the linear regression of what's happening on chain today and just extending that out with the grants that we know about. The token service and the smart contract service will become approximately 30% of overall network revenue in 2024. That's more than 700% growth year over year in those services. And so we feel like we're on the right trajectory from a revenue perspective. We need to continue to work with our grantees and helping them go live and get successful on the network. As we think about many of these organizations, Zenny Travel as an example, you're like, who is Zenny Travel? But they've got something called Zenny Pay. And inside Zenny Pay, they leverage the HTS token service. It's not an ATMA, HCS high throughput application, but the HTS transactions are generating a significant amount of revenue from an application you may have never heard of. And they are transforming the travel industry, and they're doing it on Hedera. And you're going to see more and more accounts created in the next 6 months. It'll likely more than double the accounts that we've got on chain today. And so I'm excited by the things that are starting to take shape. And, in the early days, everyone was pressed for, give us metrics, give us things that you're doing. And it takes time to incubate and get these things live, because if you really are building a business and a business model, you want to do it right. And so with that, that's where we see now and in the future. And I'm very excited about what the future holds for us as Hedera and as an ecosystem.
Let's just close up. Rob, why don't you summarize for us what's happening here and what we can look forward to?
Yeah. So we've got very exciting plans for the next couple of years. As we lean into 2024, I've already talked about the Ventures Fund, so we'll be raising that fund and distributing through the Ventures program. We'll continue to run the Innovation program. The Enterprise program has got some amazing governing council projects that are just kicking off, or some have been running for some time now. So all of those will start contributing to the growth of the network, and there'll be a lot of announcements. We'll also, and I alluded to earlier, we've got our global growth strategy. So THA will have chapters set up in MENA, in Middle East and North Africa. We've got an African focus over the next year, not only with Flutterwave, but through our base in Morocco with Orange and a number of other initiatives. Dubai, we've got our announced partnership with Do, which is an ecosystem partner that follows a model that we will repeat across the planet, where we have very strong, very embedded partners who can help us grow with that kind of strong cultural understanding and fit in countries, but with access to government. Then we've got Asia Pacific, right? So I'm based out of Australia. We've always had a very strong Hedera presence across Asia Pacific. It's very culturally diverse, hugely populous, as we know. On the Western side, with India, we've got the Bharat Blockchain Yatra, 6 months with a major sponsor of a massive series of hackathons accessing 50,000 developers. In Vietnam, the CCE, which is a big sustainable focused US-based grant giving program that we're going to sponsor and co-develop in Vietnam. Singapore and Hong Kong have always been heartlands of Asia Pacific. So that we've got lots and lots of amazing things that we'll establish once the chapter is in place, probably out of Singapore. So exciting times, and THA, we're looking for partnerships for long-term impact and that give sustainable growth for the Hedera ecosystem. With all those kind of government and enterprise and startup opportunities in each of those regions will start interconnecting and creating network effect through the presence and the innovation and ventures programs. There are opportunities across Middle East, across Africa, across Asia Pacific. And basically, we'll be looking for equitable models for all partners to benefit from, and in doing so, grow the entire Hedera ecosystem.
So go find the HBAR Foundry on YouTube and make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss that last town hall. I just showed you a little bit of a snippet, but you want to catch the entire thing. And with that, let's get into some network analysis. Transaction volume is at a new plateau with over 1 billion transactions processed over the past week, which puts us averaging nearly 1,800 transactions per second and a max TPS of over 4,000. What's more impressive is the time to consensus finality has dropped significantly after the network upgrade that occurred on Tuesday. The time dropped from an already impressive 3.8 seconds by over 0.3 of a second to under 3.5 seconds. I was told that the cause of the drop was not an improvement to the gossip protocol like last time, but something that was shipped in the last upgrade called data on disk. Previously, they stored all the accounts, NFTs, and other network data on the computer's memory. With data on disk, they move that data out of memory and onto the disk. Normally, the disk is slower than memory, but they've built such a great database for storing and retrieving the data that the implementation actually saw network performance improvements. They also have the ability to store more data than before, which is expected to improve even further going forward. We also added over 10,000 accounts over the past week. And looking at our fungible tokens, the meme coin 0 is in the top spot. I want to ask their team why they're processing so many transactions each week. We know some of the top coins are due to DeFi, and Energy Trade token has its faucet. So I want to understand a bit more about what's going on with 0. In the second spot, we have wrapped HBAR, followed by Energy Trade token, Sauce, and Dovu. Next up, we have Karate and G Rewards token, which I believe is a metaverse real estate token. Again, one that I should do some research on. And the top 10 is rounded out by USDC, Jam, and HeliSwap. Moving down to our NFTs, Hashpack blew the doors off yet again with their Halloween themed token, which is followed by Zero's NFT, Road Code Access, and a couple Karate Combat themed Karateka NFTs. And then we have the OG of Hedera NFTs, Hashgraph Punks, who also had a seasonal NFT drop. We had 2 Crazy Pixel NFTs that made the list, as well as Blade Wallet Loyalty Token and the Hashgraph naming service. And next up we have some DeFi. Taking a look at DeFi Llama, not including Stater Liquid Staking, the total value locked in the Hedera DeFi ecosystem is just about $32 million. SaucerSwap holds $28 million of that, and HeliSwap about $3.9 million. The farming rewards on some of SaucerSwap's popular trading pairs stands at just under 6% on HBAR HBAR-X, 23% on HBAR Sauce, and a bump on the next two, 31% on HBAR USDC and 44% on HBAR Karate. Over on HeliSwap, HBAR HBAR-X is just under 4%, 81% on HBAR Heli, 19% on HBAR USDC, and 46% on HBAR Karate. Crypto has had a strong week despite risk assets like stocks being down, and the space was led by Bitcoin and hopes for a spot Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin is down slightly on the day, but up 14% on the week. HBAR, which is just over 5 cents at the time of recording, is down about 2.5% on the day, but still up 7% on the week. We might find out soon if 4.9 to 5 cents has set up as an area of support, and I'm looking to 5.4 to 5.5 cents for resistance. All right, that's all we have for this week. Next week, we're probably going to have a Thursday episode. We're going to have Shark Bites lined up. Again, I'm going to have Dane come on and give us a full rundown on Karate Combat 42. Make sure you go on YouTube and find the HBAR Foundry's new YouTube channel and subscribe to that. I just got word that Apple wants one more thing for the Twigital app, so go and follow us on X at Twigital app for when we launch. Remember to go down in the comments and drop your questions for future Shark Bites. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.